Hi, I'm Paul Stanenko. I'm an application architect for DigiLogic IoT, a division of Acuity Brands. And today we're going to take a look at unifying two different data sets in a solution builder and displaying them on the screen in the form of a grid. So we're going to start by obtaining our first data set, which happens to be the U.S. Geological Survey earthquake list. We're going to use string loader to make that call. It's a REST call, and our rules are over here. So we're just going to go down, find the call that we want to run, which happens to be this one. Jump back in here, plug in the call, and we're going to modify the dates to something more recent, like today, which will be March, let's see, 13th to March 14th. And this is going to be a standard get call, and we already see that call has run successfully and has produced quite a large JSON file. So we're going to go ahead and parse that using JSON parser block. By default, it will produce data set that looks like this. It is missing lat long coordinates, which we will need because they're nested deeper in the JSON. So we're going to add a flat filter to the coordinates object, which basically results in these two coordinates. Okay, so now we're ready to move on. We need to select some of the columns that we need to display. We're not displaying all of them, and we also need to format the actual time into a humanly readable form. So let's go ahead and do that using map column mapping block. And so we're going to route our table into the column mapping block, and we're going to start creating columns. First one will be date. And the date is going to come from a column called properties time. So I'm just going to copy the name, and then we're going to format it. The format we're going to use will be month, day, year, hours, minutes. That should do the trick. So if we take a look, we now have our date column with a properly readable date. We're going to go ahead and add a few more columns. We definitely need magnitude, so we're going to add a column for magnitude, lat, long, and location. So our magnitude column will come from properties.mag. Our latitude column will be coming from this. Longitude will be right next to it. Finally, location will be coming from properties/place. There we go. So now we have a table that's nice and concise and only has columns that we care about, formatted in the way that we need, and they're humanly readable. The only other modification I want to do to this is for magnitude. I actually want to round it, because we're going to be joining it against the intensity data. Right, so we don't need decimal points. So I'm going to go ahead and modify the magnitude column to round the value. do it. Okay, so we have half of our data set available. For the next data set, which contains the intensity data, I actually have a CSV file that we've downloaded, and I'm going to bring that in as a data source as well. So I'm going to start by uploading it to my project. I'm going to pick a folder. Assets folder will do just fine. I'm going to click upload, browse on my laptop, browse to the file that I'm trying to upload, and it brings it here. Again, I'm going to use a string loader block to read that file. But for the path here, I'm just going to drag the file right in there, which will populate the path for me. And see, just read the file in. And here's the data. It's a CSV data. So to turn it into a table I can work with, I'm going to use a CSV parser. And I'm going to set it to be parsed with headers, which gives me basically my data set. Right now I'm ready to join the two data sets. Right. So our input 1 will be our initial earthquake data. Input 2 will be our intensity data, and I'm going to join them on magnitude. So from earthquake data, we're going to take a magnitude table. Column. And from the CSV parser, we're going to take intensity column because they signify the same thing. As a result, spell the intensity. As a result, now I have basically shaking the description of intensity joined with my data set for each of the earthquakes reported on between March 13th and March 14th. Now let's go ahead and display that data. So I have my data set. Now let's get to the visual aspect of it. I'm going to add a data grid to my screen. I'm going to go ahead and maximize it. I'm just going to make the size 100% by 100%. Screen. Now I'm going to link a data set to it. So I'm going to go to my data flow that I've created, select my data grid, and connect my data set to the data grid. As you can see, the defaults don't look that great, so I'm going to go ahead and format the data grid to look and feel exactly how I want it. First thing I'm going to do is, for the rows, I'm going to change the text alignment, text size, and font maybe to something more easily digestible. And I'm going to change the font color to a little less white. For the header, I'm going to do a similar thing. So change font size, slightly thicker font. Keep the alignment center, so that's fine. Now, for the columns themselves, by default, it's basically replicating columns for each column of the actual data table. I don't want that. I want to manually specify each column. So I'm going to, instead of all, I'm going to choose a name and a column type, and I'm going to tell it basically which column name I want to display in this particular column. So let me bring up my table so we can see it. There. And I'm going to say that for column 0, I want it to be display date. There we go. And then now I can individually control its size. So I'm going to set the size of the column to something that actually fits 140. So, right, a little bit of spacing on the sides there. There we go. So that will be column 1. We're going to duplicate it, create another column. This column will show magnitude. Right. This can be a smaller column. Alright, next one will be latitude. border. Like that. Finally, location. The location, for the size, I'm going to make it take up all the space that's available on the screen. So it'll grow beyond the original 90 pixels to take up as many space as we have available, because so we can see description properly. And for the last column, I'm going to, of course, make it shaky, which will describe how the earthquake of that magnitude feels. However, I don't like the name shaky, so I'm actually going to give it another label and call it intensity. And there we go. Now we have a grid on the screen showing the data that I obtained from two data sources joined together. The last thing I'm going to do is just add some separators and fill, so data is a little bit more easily readable. So for the main fill, I'm not going to touch it. For the alternate fill, I'm going to add just a tad bit of light, so alternating rows, and I'm going to add grid lines. Dark gray grid lines to separate columns. There we go.